Hi there, lovely souls. Look, I wanted to touch base with you because generally what I find when there's been strong planetary movements, whether it's a full moon, a new moon, or in this particular instance, a black moon, new moon eclipse, is it can be a little bit emotionally dismantling for people. And people can experience a healing crisis if they're working through something emotionally, or there are emotional things that need to be looked at, that they really tend to crescendo into this really, really powerful emotional challenging place. And as a spiritual healer and a coach and a counselor, I, for more than a decade, have been working with people in this arena. And I often see that around a very strong planetary movement, there will be an exponential increase in the amount of clients that will come to me. And it's because we have, the foundations of our spiritual wellness are really emotional healing and emotional wellness. And I think that it's really important that we allow ourselves the time and the space in our life to really look at it. Because as the great Carl Jung said, what you resist will persist. And this is never ever more true. If the more that you deny or resist your emotional healing, the more that it will tend to come up. And I encourage you to seek the support and guidance of a coach or a counselor who can really go deeply into your emotional healing and support you and hold that space for you, because it's also a really vulnerable time. It's also a really amazing time spiritually as well, because it can be the time that people are really opening up spiritually. And this is usually what I find, that there is this direct correlation between strong emotional healing and then the seeking of spiritual support and development and guidance. And as a spiritual healer, I'm available to support you through this process. But I think when you really honor yourself and you look at your holistic healing and the fact that, you can have the best diet and you can be fit as anything and exercise, but if you are emotionally unwell and spiritually struggling, then the flow-on effect to your holistic health is significant. And I think that they need to be looked at. And also, if you're emotionally unwell, then this can be very much impacting your physical health. They're all linked. But one thing I wanted to say was that a lot of people during these really strong planetary movements can feel a really strong sense of, they can go through a healing crisis where things can get really tough. And emotionally, you can be brought to your knees and you can be in a state of panic. And this is often the case with many clients of mine. If they're anxious or navigating depression, anxiety, or stress, that they can become overwhelmed in panic. And I just wanted to give you a tip and give you some tips on what you can do when you get into that place. Because you just don't know when these things are going to happen. I mean, it could be in the middle of the night. It could be walking down a street on your own. It could be as you're driving, and you can feel very alone. Now, you're never really alone. You always have your angels with you, which is, really my first tip. You're never alone. You have guardian angels and you have archangels, and the archangels are connected to the higher source consciousness, and they are gifts to us. They support human evolution and they help support human beings to heal and be well. And they are around you, and their job is to really look after you. So you can call on Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael, when you're in a state of panic or fear, is the first angel that you should call on, because he is the ultimate protector. He eradicates fear and he can support you and be with you immediately the moment that you call on him. But if you are in a state of panic and you can't even think to call Archangel Michael, remember to breathe. If that is the one thing that you take away from this, if you are in a state of emotional panic and fear and you're shallow breathing and you're starting to get overwhelmed, I want you to take the biggest, deepest breath that you ever can. And I want you to remember to do that. You will be amazed how that breath will immediately pull you out of the panic. It is key to restoring you back to a state of calm. Second to that, call on Archangel Michael. Breathe, call on Archangel Michael. And if you have, Archangel Michael developed the number one Archangel aromatherapy, Clear and Protect. It's his formulation. When you use it, whether you put it on your body or you diffuse it in a room, you create a really high vibrational space for him to come in and work with you, but also, and you shift your vibration. So whether you wear it on your body or you inhale it, inhalation is one of the most effective ways, if not the most effective way, because it goes straight into the blood, across the blood-brain barrier and into the brain. And into the brain, into the limbic brain is where you process all of your emotions. So it immediately enters that part of the brain. But because it's a vibrational aromatherapy, it has his vibration. So it's going to work on the areas that he supports you with, which is fear and panic. But we may not have our Archangel Michael aromatherapy with us in that moment. And in those moments of extreme panic. And what I want you to remember to do is to deep breathe. Call on your angels and remember you're never alone, because that's what can happen when we are in a state of fear and panic. The negative energy can make us feel so separated and like we're alone and nobody cares and nobody knows. And it's not true. You have angels all around you. You're not separate. We're all together. We're all collective consciousness. And we are all very much loved. And I wanted you to remember that. I know that a lot of people this week have experienced a lot of things emotionally. And it's such a brave thing to really dig deep and get into your emotional stuff and really look at it and own it and seek to really heal it to achieve an end state of positivity. And positivity is not something that we deploy as a way to conceal emotional issues. So this can generally be something that can come up with spiritual practitioners, a set of affirmations or, try and think positively. Well, that's not always the case, because you can't always do that. When things are presented to you emotionally, it is an extremely wonderful opportunity to heal. And sometimes when you're exploring negative emotions, you are in a very vulnerable, sad, and often alone state of reference. You're working through things. You're wanting to heal. And that is really important. What positivity is positivity is the benchmark. It's the line in the sand. It's like when you're physically unwell, you will experience pain in your body. If you are emotionally unwell, the lack of emotional positivity is not there. It doesn't exist. So just like pain will show up with a physical issue, positivity or that lack thereof, negativity will show up as an indication that there is some emotional healing that needs to happen. Just the same way as physically, you need to look at your physical health if you have a pain in a particular area. If you don't have positivity in a particular area, you need to look at that emotional health. But it doesn't mean just plugging away and trying to flick your thinking. It's about, okay, I really need to look at this. I really need to look at my negative frame of reference, and I really need to explore this and go emotionally into that healing. I know it's been a really big week. If you do find yourself in a state of panic, please breathe and please call on your angels, but always know that you are never alone. And if you are feeling like you need some extra support and healing to really support you, the more that you work on your emotional healing, you develop a really strong emotional foundation. When you have a really strong emotional foundation, then your ability to be pipped off your post energetically is lessened, because you have healed and dealt with the negative emotions that still reside in your consciousness. And when you use your Archangel aromatherapy oils, they move deep into the inner cellular body to eradicate the emotional dysfunction that showed up from your negative frame of reference. Have a beautiful rest of the week. And if you do find yourself in a panic, please remember to breathe, and please always remember that you're never alone and that your angels are always with you. And if you need support and spiritual guidance, emotional healing on any of these areas, please book in it. I'd love to have a session with you. Blessings. Mwah.